Okay. So today's day 15. I missed a day, I know, but it's still day 15. So we're halfway through the challenge actually. So far it's been actually fun. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's fun interacting with people about things I've said because being questioned is fun to a certain extent. And for today, I was thinking the book that I'm trying to talk about today, everybody has probably heard of it, heard of how good it is, how life-changing it is, and unsurprisingly, I've read it as well. It's called Atomic Habits. Um, and the thing is, the hype around Atomic Habits is that the ideas are very simple to follow. And you can do the following after reading the book. Namely, one, develop new helpful habits and understanding that even taking a tiny change a day can really lead up to a compounded effect of what you're trying to achieve in any way. Essentially, it's like me doing videos, posting them, and having a compounded effect over certain time because I'm trying to build something, but it takes patience. So that's what it also teaches you. On the other hand, it also teaches you that in order to get rid of certain habits, you need to implement a system that makes these habits really uncomfortable to do. And based on how easy these ideas essentially are, I thought, well, why not talk about them? Um, a disclaimer, I personally have read the book. I I really didn't find it to be that exciting, to be fair. Like certain ideas, yes, but overall, have you seen how thick that is? How thick it is? It's pretty thick. I don't see why it could have been condensed because it could have been. Yeah, but that was a disclaimer. I didn't really like it that much. But we'll just talk about it. So, personally, reading the book, it's very easy. So, again, it's not complex. I feel like a lot of people who see the book, they feel challenged and also kind of overwhelmed because of how dense it is, of like how dense it seems. It's really not. He just likes to over-explain certain things, which is a good trait, to be fair, because then you don't easily forget the things that you've been reading. But it does take a lot of time. So, the first lesson that you read out of the book is that if you do one tiny thing every day, that you'll see a compounding effect. And why is that so important? Because we think in linearity. So let's take my channel for instance, right? When I started this 2 weeks ago, I thought, okay, I might end up with like 10 people who subscribe, um, tune in to listen, maybe for a bit, and then leave, right? And even for me, I expected it to be kind of like fun, but I didn't expect it to be really interesting to do. Now, the thing is, what happened, because I've been doing it kind of consistently for most days, it so happened that now, if you look at a subscribers count, we have 35 people, which is actually a small classroom, right? So I didn't expect that. Um, and if you also look at certain videos, I'm not quite sure whether they can be referenced to the compounding effect, but maybe because I have been quite active on the platform, um, it is reasonable to assume that certain videos get pushed out to people that really do not follow me and are kind of confused as to why it appears on their feed. That's also kind of like compounding effect. If you look at day 11, where I talk about billionaires using philosophical ideas, I think it got like 600 people watching it, which is quite a lot considering, that I just started out. I was pretty happy with the comments as well, so that's just a side note. But I hope you can kind of see that a lot of things that go well in life, they don't really do this line. They're not linear. They really blow off at some point. And A lot of people, they just stop around the point where kind of like the exponential graph would have jumped quite far. And the message for you here is also for me is kind of like if you try to do something new, learn a new skill, try to build a business in any way, you need to be patient because there's a saying that just when you stopped, it could have been right around. And the whole idea is that you don't know what could have happened if you didn't stop. So don't stop. Or like try to be better each day. Because the trying to be better each day, um, it comes from the Japanese philosophy called Kaizen. And what it essentially tries or like teaches is to be 1% better each day. And even if you take the 1% better each day, it compounds because you are not calculating the 1% or like you're not adding the 1% from yesterday to the 1% of today and tomorrow. You're actually multiplying these percentages. And so at the end, you get also compounding effect on a mathematical level. So that's maybe why the author also kind of says that stick with the projects that you're doing. They take time. And also with the idea of being able to compound, you need to be able to delay gratification. And what essentially is meant by that is that success is not going to appear overnight. And even if it does, it might ruin you. Because think about it. Success that goes like really slow and jumps off at some point, it prepares you for a higher or like a new stage of skills that you need to show for your success. Now you might say, well, it's kind of nice to be successful overnight, but that thing never really happened. And if you now mention TikTok stars that gained virality overnight, here's the thing, a lot of them couldn't hold the hype, so they went broke. So, and that's because they didn't really learn how to cope with the attention, how to use it, how to make people stick around, because dancing is gonna lay off people sooner or later, because it's just not that interesting to follow. Anyways, that was idea number one. Compounding takes time. Don't be afraid to invest a bit more each day. As long as you keep going, you will see a compounding effect. That's number one. Number two, and I think that's actually a really nice idea that he portrays, is that we all have certain habits that we're not proud of. Maybe it's social media time, maybe it's watching TV, maybe it's eating too much, maybe it's not exercising um, as we want to. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Now, the idea to make these habits disappear, specifically actually the ones where you need to take action in order to make them unhealthy or unsustainable, we could actually go with social media usage. I think that's pretty easy. Now, it's very easy to open up your phone, go on Insta, and start scrolling. And in order for you to make this habit disappear, remember, we want to do it step by step and over a longer time. So it's not going to just happen from today to tomorrow. But rather, what the author is trying to tell you is that if you have your phone, for instance, just put it away, you know. Even creating a small distance from you and the device might be enough to annoy you to not get the phone. Because if I'm laying somewhere, let's assume I'm laying on my bed and my phone is on the other side of the room at night, I'm not going to get up and get it in most times, right? Because you're tired, you want to go to sleep. You know, going to sleep is actually good during that time. And so the chances are higher that you will just leave your phone and not scroll. So you're trying to make your habits unattractive to you. And the goal is to annoy you. So you need to create systems that annoy you, that really prevent you from going after your phone. And again, step by step. So for the first day, you might say, well, I want to implement kind of like a 15-minute tracker. or an hour tracker, and maybe I want to scroll Instagram maybe during the day, not in the morning, not in the evening, during the day where the consequences of scrolling it like they're not that bad. They won't disturb you. And then you could say, well, I kind of mastered this, I don't spend too much time on these platforms. I could now lay my phone maybe somewhere else when I'm in the room supposed to be working, or you just delete social media from one of your um, devices. You get the idea. And as long as you're progressing in removing these unhealthy habits, you'll see that it is manageable and that it is doable. And that's the only thing you need to see because a lot of people, I think the majority of people, they're convinced that they cannot change. And that is so dangerous to assume because you've changed for the better or the worse. You know that you can change. And that's just because you were the witness of your life. So saying that, oh, I can't change, it's a lie. Everybody to a certain extent can change. And certain changes require maybe a bit more help, a bit more money to do so, but they are very much possible. And essentially, that's big idea number two. Positive change is always possible, but it will take your time. You just need to be a tiny, tiny bit better than yesterday. That's all it takes. And with that, thank you for your attention. And I do feel like I'm giving a TED talk, but that's for another time. Thank you.